What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for the final episode of Attack on Titan final season part 2, because we got announced that we are going to be getting a final core. We are going to get, so I guess we're not getting a movie, because everyone was assuming, oh, we're getting a movie. Oh, we're getting a movie. We're getting a movie. We're getting a movie. Everyone was assuming, Joey and a bunch of, hell, even I started to believe that we were most likely going to be getting a movie. Turns out we're not. Or they could just be dabbing everything, and then they saved the last couple of chapters for a movie. I don't know. Demon Slayer talks. We'll have to wait and see how this. If Mappa actually is not going to be giving us a movie for AOT, and it's just going to be and this is going to be it. So that was it. So that was nice. That was interesting to find out next year. Thank fucking Christ, it's next year. I have way too much shows to review on my plate in fall. If I had my way, this shit would be airing in the summer, at the very least. If this shit would be airing in the summer, if maybe the spring, just because then I won't have any series review. Because after after Hero Walk and Bleach and man, I don't want to review another goddamn series for a while, because I know it's gonna be stressful for me trying to balance two major series, hell, 3 if you count Uzumaki for fall of this year. I'm gonna be stressed. I'm gonna be miserable. I just want to be. I just want to be done with it, man. So, but hey, whenever it reviews, whatever it does release, you guys know I'll be back at here doing the reviews, no matter how miserable I am. But yeah. So, but speaking of not being miserable, there was something not to be miserable about, and this is something that it's been a thing for a couple days, but I kind of wanted to give it a couple days just to make sure it was legit. Like, the number wouldn't jump right back down, but. We recently hit, like a couple days ago, we finally hit 250 subscribers, guys. So I want to thank you guys so much for that. I'm glad to see that we finally hit 250, because you guys, I might have mentioned this before in videos last year, or you might have just noticed it if you're paying attention, that last year I was stuck at 230 for like the longest time. It was like 230, 220. I was just stuck at that number for a majority of last year. So it's nice to know that at the start of that, at the beginning of this year, we hit a major milestone and we got to 250 subscribers. Hopefully we can keep it up, man, and see what happens, see what happens at the end of the year. Maybe by the end of the year we hit 300 subscribers. I don't fucking know, but I just want to thank you guys so much for 250 subscribers, and I will be doing a celebration stream when I get back home, just because then I can play Miles, Avengers, a couple games. Hell, I might even I might get Forbidden West on my PS4 and just play that. If my PS4 doesn't explode from playing it, which it probably will, but, we'll have to wait and see on this. My mom's probably going to try and see if she can get the console fixed and see what's up with things, see if she can get rid of, maybe alleviate that overheating issue I've been having with it, with select games. But yeah, when I get back home, guys, I will be doing I'll do a whole celebratory stream, but I just wanted to thank you guys right now, because honestly, it means the world to me that you guys that watch my videos and all that shit. And glad you guys are sticking around. That one day the channel keeps growing. That the channel, even after 5 years, the channel is still growing. Because after last year being stuck at 230, it was nice to see the number go up for once. But yeah, just once again, thank you guys so much for making me reach 250 subscribers. Like I said, you guys will be getting a live stream. We'll do a celebratory live stream when I get back home. And yeah, once again, thank you guys so much. Now, back to the episode. Just wanted to quickly go over that real quick because I have to. And I haven't really mentioned that like this, mostly because I just forgot. Like I said, I wanted to also give it a couple days to make sure that when I do 50, it didn't go right back to like 249 or something. But the episode, fucking amazing episode. It was crazy, man. The episode itself, honestly, like especially at that last like minute or so, it felt like just like rewatch. It was like history repeating itself. It was like we were rewatching the first episode of Attack on Titan when Bertolt and Reiner busted the walls and shit. It reminded me a lot of that, man. And it was cool to finally see Aaron's founder design, man. And yeah, a lot of crazy shit. Also, guys, as some of you guys may know, tonight is WrestleMania Night 2. So if you guys saw this review ends up getting, you guys are going to see this review up till like tonight. That's why, guys. Hopefully, I'll be at least get through the audio before WrestleMania starts. Crossing my fingers on that. But yeah, enough me rambling, enough me thanking you guys. Let's just jump right into the actual episode. So we start this episode off with Mika some narration of her talking about Aaron and like wondering if he's always been that. People say that he's changed. She believes that as well. Wondering if he's actually never changed. Has he always been like that? And if that's the case, what is the part of Aaron that she's been seeing all these years? And at this point, this is where the episode is still basically currently where we left off last week. The reason I mentioned this is very sad because then she basically looks over to to the city, or when she looks, it cuts to the city of Marley. which I at first thought this was the port city that they were going to get the flying boat, and because then next thing we see Aaron, he's in a suit, he has his hair long, not as long as he has it now, where he has it like butter, it's just like long. Then you have Mikasa, Hanji, Sasha as well. All of the Survey Corps guys are there wearing like suits or dresses to obviously make them so that they obviously can be like me. And it took me a second to realize that this was a flashback because I was like, wait, what? What's this? What's that? What's going in? It took me a second to realize, oh, this is the flashback to how they got to Marley and how Aaron, went into the battle and all that shit. It took me a second to realize that. Especially once I saw Sasha and everyone else, I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Why is Hanji wearing a suit? You guys will see that in my reaction. But, yeah, so... so they eventually land. You have like this festival music place. There's the OST in this episode. Good shit. So everyone managed to get down there. They're all shocked that this is the outside city. They meet up with Nyan Capone. He says, "Oh, I'm glad you guys have made it." And everyone else is just enamored, marveled by what they are seeing now that they are outside the walls. I believe hearing that God say like we are the first group of devils to venture on the outside of the walls. Hey, don't say that. Don't say it's strange. Then Sasha said something similar. He's like, "Didn't I tell y'all to shut up?" So once they finally get down there, they first see an auto, a car. Which they're like, huh? What's that? Is that a horse? Is that even a horse? And Sasha thinks it's a fucking cow. And then it's Anji that's like, oh, it's a car. Hi, God. And she legit, I believe it was Connie and Sasha, all three of them really start chasing after the car, and then Jacopo meets up with Levi, and Levi says, if we don't stop them, they're gonna start feeding carrots in that iron thing. And Jacopo's, oh please, and they're buying carrots? Oh, that was fucking hilarious. This whole first 5 minutes of the episode was literally just everybody showing them that, like, yo, these are farm people. These are not city folks. Because you had Sasha, Hanji, and Connie chasing after the car, trying to feed the fucking thing carrots. Then you had Sasha trying ice cream for the first time. She's like, wait, it's cold! And, she starts eating it, and then Connie gets in there. He's like, give me one. And then John's like, hey, give me one. And then if you were actually paying attention to the background later on the episode with Mikasa, you could see he was asking for 2 more. But then, as everyone's eating ice cream, you also see Mikasa, she's ice cream, bro. Mikasa smiling has to be the cutest, most wholesome thing I've ever seen. Literally. I think it's because we never see this woman smile. So when we do see her smile, it warms your very soul. Your soul is levied when you see Mikasa smile. It's the same thing when we saw her in season 3, when we saw her smile then. Hell, I would say her smile here is way cuter than the one from season 3. Either way, my heart was melting seeing Mikasa smile. And anyway, she gives the ice cream cone to Aaron. And she's like, hey, Aaron, you should try this. And he's like, ice cream. You know what it is? From the old man's memories, that is. And he mentions the internment zones and like how like the LDs are. Internment zones don't get to taste heat this much, even though there's so much outside of the wall. You also had like this one part a little bit earlier on when everyone landed with Aaron, Mikasa, and Andy, where he's like, or not Andy, Arvin, where he's like, this is the other side of the sea, right? You can see Aaron is just not all there, man, in this part. But anyway, after that, we get some more narration from Mikasa saying perhaps we didn't notice, or that we didn't notice, or perhaps we refused to. Now, one other thing before we continue on, and I'm shocked that I forgot to mention this earlier, but we also had this part where Levi is just chilling. Levi is doing his thing, and then this clown comes up behind him and be like, hey kid, you want a tasty treat? You want some sweet? And then, like, of course, the clown looks super creepy as you get this really deep, really up close up of them, and Levi's just staring there. And then he turns around and is like, ooh, that's a good look, cool look. Are the kiddies playing gangster? And I'm like, damn, bro, damn. You're really gonna do Levi that? You are literally gonna call Levi a champ? You know he would decapitate you for saying that. That was pretty fun. That might have been the funniest part of this part of the episode, was just the thing was Levi and the clown. But anyway, afterwards, Levi grabs this kid's arm, and he's carrying, and he has like this like purse on him, pouch on him. And it's like, hey, that's not yours. And then Sasha looks at hers and she realized that he stole Sasha's money. He pickpocketed her. which we also saw this kid probably pickpocket somebody early on because he bumped into somebody. We didn't see him actually grab anything, but I've seen enough movies where I know if someone bumps into you, there's a good chance they pickpocket you. At least with those types of characters. Anyway, so then all these other guys, grown-ass men, surround this kid. And the kid's like starting to freak out. He's looking all around. He's like, oh, we got a pickpocket, huh? He must be like a refugee from enemy state. He could have been a subject. He must have stuck on the boat. Let's throw him overboard. So one of them actually said, like, let's just crush his right hand. That'll keep him from stealing. And they're all going with these super extreme measures for someone that literally just stole a purse. And of course, Sasha's trying to get involved and say, hey, you know, it's not that big a deal. I heard of my purse back. He's like, hey, get it, stay out of this, Missy. This isn't your problem. We gotta set an example for this kid so he doesn't steal again. And so Levi just grabs him and starts walking off. And he's like, hey, where are you going? He's like, I never said who said it was a pickpocket. All I said is that the purse wasn't his. And so Levi tries to run the story that actually this kid and Sasha are siblings. And so she's starting like, Han's like, oh yes, there's a very complex family relationship here. All right, sister. And Sasha's like, yes. And she starts like bowing and apologizing to everyone for her little brother. And they're like, do you expect us to buy this? And then Levi just says, fuck it, and they all run. They run for the hills, ladies and gentlemen. Once they finally get to like this more like foresty area. And once they get there, Levi, that's where the kid is. And guess what this kid had? Now, to remind you all, this kid basically saved this kid. Levi saved this kid's life. He saved him from getting his ass beat or even possibly killed by a bunch of grown-ass men. This kid that looks like he's no older than maybe 10. You wanna know what he does? He steals. He steals from Levi. I'm like, you ungrateful little shit. This motherfucker, this man just saved your life, and you're gonna repay him by jacking his shit, by robbing him. Fuck you, kid. You deserve to get your head crushed. Like this man saved your life, and you're just gonna steal from him? Fuck. And it doesn't even look like he ever gave back his money too, because what we saw later on this, it doesn't look like Levi ever got his money back. Like, oh, what the fuck's wrong with this kid, man? Who do you think you are? Anyway, all that aside, they eventually get to the Asmaribito's mansion, and we basically find out more about the Eldian Empire, how blood testing has really proved, and something because we did later hear some stuff about some from the other guys that are fairly that there's blood testing going on in the country, so obviously figure out who are the subjects of the meteor, and obviously took them out. And so she says as it continues to improve, subjects in the meteor that have escaped the internment zones are obviously get thrown back into them. Yada yada yada. So she explains about how before having some of the subject of Ymir's blood in you would show that you were the proof that you were royal to it. As the empire crumbled, they had to go into hiding. Blah 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 blah. And so so eventually they talk about how this is most likely going to make Parody's goal of obtaining peace and harboring peace and making everything make sure there's no ill will between everybody, just everyone just living in harmony. Very very hard is when they begin to talk. But I believe it was Armin that mentioned that they can't if they abandon their quest for peace, all they're gonna have left is Zeke's conspiracy, which we know what happened with that. So Hanji says that all we can do is do our best, and she said they're going to be going over to this association, conference, international forums conference with the association to protect the subject of the Emir, and if their goals align with theirs, they're going to try and work together and say that Parody wants for peace. So, but obviously because of who these are, they obviously have to be, to do a low profile and watch from afar, and just see if this plan can work with this association. So then after all that, Mikasa then notices Eren is gone, and she's like, wait, where's Eren? And then when we see Eren again, he's like basically just like looking over this hill at the kid that we saw earlier on in the episode. I guess like it's family, and for some reason Eren starts crying. But we find out, to be fair, later on, a little bit later in the episode, that was because that reminded him of him when he was a kid, of course, with the Titans, destroying, what was it, Shiganshina was the world Eren was in, if I remember correctly. So Mikasa then catches up to Eren and she asks her like, "Hey Eren, don't you know that you're the most wanted, that you're the top enemy from Marley? You know everyone's looking for you." And so that's when she notices that there's a kid from Markbase, and then Eren. That's when Eren says that, "Oh, they're just like us. One day their regular lives were taken from them, and they were deprived of all of their freedoms." And so then that's when Eren finally asks Mikasa the big question. The question that the shippers have been demanding an answer to, longing for years now. You could practically hear the creaking of their chairs as they leaned in closer to their televisions, their phone screens and laptops, wondering with bated breath what Mikasa was going to say and if they would finally get what they want. And with Eren asking her, "What and why do you care so much about me?" Hell, even I was leaning in to see what Mikasa would say, especially after what happened in season 2 where she laid it all out on the line. Y'all remember when she just laid out all her feelings at the end of season 2? Oh man. But anyway, so he asked her, like, "Why do you care so much about me? Is it because I saved you when we were little? Is it because I am your family?" And Mikasa's like blushing, and she's like obviously and she just doesn't really know what to say. And then actually, and then like the guy who I'm assuming is the kid's father just appears like right between them with like this tray, and right before Mikasa answers, which was pretty funny. And she says, "Family," which I can imagine her to be like, "Damn it, brother zone, fuck." Hey man, that could all change. We still got another season to go. Maybe because we'll end up with Eren. I don't fucking know. Oh man. That last episode is going to be interesting, man. Whenever we find whether that is going to be the third core season, if that is actually going to be the end of the series, or if they're going to like save the last chapter for a fucking movie or something. That's going to be interesting, man. That is going to be very, very. Anyway, so right that's when the dude starts talking and the dude starts talking. Now, if you paid at least for me anyway, the subtitles when he started talking were in parentheses, which usually signifies that the dude is speaking in another language. Now, honestly, to me, it still sounded like Japanese. It still kind of sounded like Japanese to me, but with his accent, it could have been something completely different. For all I know, he was speaking English. I don't know what language he was speaking. If any of you guys know for certain, I don't know if it's been like a revealed or announced or anything. You'll leave it down in the comments. And he says, "Please come in with us." And that's when Eren says it seems like he's trying to welcome him. And that's when Armin, Connie, and Sasha, and John all finally also meet up with Eren, and they're like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing, Eren?" And so then they eventually do join the old man into his home, and this is when they just basically start partying like drunkenness. Once again, I mentioned this at the start of the review, but I gotta say it again, the OST in this episode was phenomenal. Like the song they had playing here, as well as the song during the Eren and Mikasa sections, were fantastic tracks. I'm assuming these are new tracks for the OST for the season. These aren't older tracks from previous seasons. Either way, man, the OST right here was fucking awesome, man. So this is when everyone just starts partying like drunk idiots, and this is also where we see those flashback images with Connie or John, and I believe last week's episode. This is where we finally get the context behind that, what was going on as well. So they're partying, they're getting drunk and everything, and then you can actually, if you're paying attention, you could also notice that fucking Sasha was basically like shoving a bottle of alcohol down the kid's poor throat. I'm like, bro, this kid's like 10 years old. Why are you shoving alcohol down his mouth? For all you know, it's fucking vodka. You could be giving him the hot shit and you damn near kill the poor bastard. So then eventually Hanji, Levi, and Jacob find them, and the look of disgust on Levi's face. It says it all, man. All the way, and you could actually, and if you're paying, you could actually see that Sasha is vomiting. But one thing I thought was pretty cool was in the final shot of this, we see a close-up of Eren, Mikasa, and Armin all together, probably for the last time, honestly. So that was nice. Then that's when we cut over to the actual conference itself. So the dude goes on about like, "Oh, we need to seek aid for these refugees. They have nothing to do with Eldia. They were forced to inbred. Blah 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 blah. They have nothing to do with their ideals." So we find out this guy, yeah, he's not on their side. This dude's like, once again, he's like, "Our true enemy are those island devils." Yeah, and everyone just starts applauding him. Everybody gives this man a massive applause. So yeah, they're definitely not on their side. And that's actually when we find out that's when Eren left. Because we get some more narration from Mikasa saying that was the day he left. And then and then later on, the topic we got the letter from Eren, which he had Falco send out to him, and obviously we know what happened after that. But she wonders if there was another choice they could have made, as there were like straight up there were flashbacks back to the first part of season 4, like when Mikasa met up with Eren finally, when of course Sasha got shot, blah 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 blah. So she mentions it. What if she could? What if was there a choice? What would he have maybe stayed if she had picked another? Maybe if she said he was Eren, if Eren, or because I said that Eren was her lover, or something, would he have stayed? I don't know. We will never know, ladies and gentlemen. We will never know. So then that's when we cut over to Eren, where we get some more narrative from him. He wonders where it all started. What did it start there, back then? Which I believe the screenshot they show is from Ymir's backstory when we saw her a few episodes back, or it could be something else. Honestly, they just showed a shot of pigs. And he says, nah, no, it does. The place doesn't matter. As we get various flashbacks to like previous seasons and like Grisha and everything. And then he says everything's still ahead, and that's when we kind of figure out that what we saw, because we knew about Yelena talking with Eren beforehand, but this is when we actually get to see it. And we also see this all happened way before Eren met up, or way before Eren got to Marlia, because he once again he has a long hair, but it's not in the bun. Because I'm pretty sure when we saw this same scene in the first part of season 4, I could have sworn he had the bun. I could be wrong on that, but I think he did. So I don't know if that was just an animation error or something else entirely, but I could have sworn he had the bun in the first part of season 4 when we saw this scene. Like I said, could be wrong. Anyway, so she tells her that Eren that the only way to save both the world Nelia is the euthanasia plan, and that she said that she's distributed the wine with the spinal fluid in it, and that Zeke trusts you, so you should trust him. But we also find out that Flouch is also listening in the entire time. And we find out that, yeah, when Flouch saying, oh, yeah, he was Eren's right-hand man, basically, he was there the entire time. He has been there with Eren. He wasn't lying. You can literally see him hiding behind the corner, listening to this entire conversation. And Eren is directly talking to Flouch and telling him that he is going to pretend to follow his plan, but his real plan is obviously to destroy the world. So that's interesting that Flouch was actually not lying. And that he wasn't exaggerating, that he literally was Eren's right-hand man, basically, throughout this entire thing. So he's like wondering, like, what will you do by doing that? And then we actually get to him talking with Historia, saying the military police are planning on turning her into a Titan. Our only option is to fight the military police or run away. And she's like, oh, it's not like I've only been tending to cattle all this time. I know. There's no need to run or fight. Whatever is the most reliable way to ensure the island's survival, I'm down with. But then that's when Eren, then she says back then you stood up for me. Everybody helped. That's good enough for me. And he says that might be good enough for you, but that's not good enough for me. And that's, of course, when he tells both Flouch and Historia, they're cutting back and forth, that his plan is to destroy the world. Use the founding to trample on all of the enemies. And obviously, they're both shocked to hear this news, especially Historia, for obvious reasons. So then she obviously tries to talk him out of it. You're making a mistake. Not everyone outside the wall is your enemy. That'll be like your mom. They die without even knowing why it's happening. And he says, I know, but the only way to completely end the cycle of revenge created by hate is to bury the history along with the civilization that created. And he says that's why he says that they want you to birth a child to sacrifice for this island, and keep forcing the children to eat their parents. He won't let them. And then that's when the story starts like tearing up and saying that she won't be able to live a proud, that if they go on, this happened, she won't be able to live a life that she'll be proud of. And then Eren, he says something that's pretty fucked up. He says, like, oh, if you can't take it, I can just manipulate your memories with the founder. I'm like, bro, do you not know? Do you not know how? Can you not hear how that sounds like? I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. That's kind of fucked that you would do that to Historia, man. That's kind of fucked, bro. That's kind of fucked. And then, but then this is very funny. He just said, "You saved me back then, and then he actually gives basically sort of the biggest comment ever say, or at least with the stuff. I don't know if this was like how it actually was written for the Crunchyroll versions, but he says, "You're the baddest girl in the world." Which, I mean, one, that's kind of an insult to Mikasa. Let's be real, she is the baddest bitch on this entire series. Let's be real, her or Annie. You can make your arguments between these two. But at the same time, he's also not completely wrong. We all saw Historia had her badass moments in season 3. We were all getting hyped for when she started ranting and and telling her to shut the fuck up. That shit was awesome. So he's not completely wrong, but still it's kind of a dig. But it's kind of still a bit of slight on Mikasa, and I don't appreciate you throwing shade at her. Anyway, that's when we actually get back to Aaron when he's actually in the internment camp talking with Zeke. And we find out, and he asks her about this disease that's exposure to the Ackerman clan. And so he's asking him about the headaches and all that shit. And we find out that Aaron was basically talking out of his ass when he was talking to Mikasa back in the first half of season 4, because Zeke says there's nothing in the records about wanting to protect their hosts and having this innate desire or any of that shit. None of that's in there. None of that. There's nothing in the records. And then he thinks that Mikasa just cares for him so much that she just sabotages neck for him, i.e. a yandere. So yeah, Mikasa is a yandere confirmed. So that's interesting that it looks like that Aaron was just talking out of his ass and that there is no innate desire to protect their host and all that shit that Aaron was talking about. And so, ladies and gentlemen, after all that is when we get to basically the final portion of the episode. After he also says that, before we get to the last portion of the code where we actually see the rumbling and all that shit, getting a little ahead of myself. After all of that, he's talking with Zeke, saying so. He's like, so what? So he's like, so how do you respond? He says, I only got 4 years to live at most. And that's when we actually cut to him on the battlefield. First of all, it would have been nice if we actually got to see how Aaron even got on this battlefield in the first place. I do wonder if this was the same battlefield that we saw in the first episode of season 4 with Falco and Gabby and everybody, because it looks like it's the same one, but I could be wrong. Where we actually see him cutting off his leg, and I think he shoves a bullet into his head. I don't know why he's doing that part, because it's never mentioned in the show. We never see any bullet hole wounds or scars or nothing. I mean, yeah, his forehead is covered, but can anyone confirm if he actually shoved a bullet into his head and why he decided to do that? I feel like, just cutting off your leg was more than sufficient, my guy. I don't know. Maybe he did for another reason. I don't know. If any of you guys know for sure, leave in the comments. If that was elaborating the manga that wasn't covered in the anime or something. I don't know. But either way, that was pretty cool, because as he's talking with Zeke, they also cut back to him with his story. He said, and she asked her, "What about having a child?" And so we cut back to him with Zeke saying, "Even after I die, their lives will still continue. I want them so that they can live long, happy lives." And we get this shot of them from, I'm pretty sure, season 3, after the battle, most likely, of them just celebrating and eating. And so that's when we transition over to the final part of the episode, where you basically have this giant fleet of ships from, I'm assuming, different countries alongside Marlia, working together to, of course, take down the rumbling with their big-ass guns. So they see the rumbling coming up, they fire on, and actually, their guns actually work. They actually cut through the colossal titans. You actually see massive chunks of them getting left in the sea as other ones are continuing on their stride, which I was surprised to see if they were actually swimming here. Because I thought the entire time they were just walking, because they're so tall, I thought they were just walking all the way to these different locations. But no, they're actually swimming. So they eventually get past their barrage, and we actually get to see the smoke fucking disintegrate these people like it's fucking Turbo T2, because we see the captain or commander, whatever, that's leading the charge, actually see his skin just burn off and leaving behind a skeleton as the smoke passes through him. That was pretty fucking cool. And so that's when we get to the last line of defense, I guess, which is those Titan cannons, which do jack shit to these colossal Titans. And eventually they're just like, and they just run. And then they start playing, I want to say this was the same song from season 1 when Reiner and Bertolt came in and destroyed the walls. I want to say it was just that same song. Which if it is, that's not only a great callback back to season 1, but I think it was a great way of showing the history is once again repeating itself. When in the start of season 1, you had Reiner and Bertolt destroying the walls and crushing a lot of people inside Paradis. That was inside, I think it was Shiganshina. And of course, Eren losing his mom. To, of course, now Eren leading a bunch of colossal Titans with the rumbling, destroying Marlia, and leaving and destroying everyone, making sure that they all are being eradicated. Thought that was a nice little callback. Love Ishida. Or Ishiyama. Ishida's Tokyo Ghoul. But yeah, we see these soldiers just trying to run away as we finally do get this, as we see this like lasting shot of just the Carapania, seeing all of these colossal Titans marching towards them, and then we finally get to see Eren's founder design, and it looks fucking cool. That is a badass design. And so we get to, and they're like, oh my god, it's him, the Attack Titan! And then we actually get like some flashes back to season 1, which looked like that map of themselves actually redid these and didn't just reuse the footage from season 1, because the art style looks more akin to their art style rather than with Studio's art style. So it looks like they actually reanimated this part, which it looks good, by the way. It looks phenomenal. And so we end the episode off with Eren saying that he will wipe them off the face off from this world until none of them remain. And we end the episode off with what looks like they just reused a shot from the OP of the colossal Titan just stepping it down and cutting out the part where we actually get to see the footprint and the butterfly. They basically reused a shot from board. At least that's how it looked like to me. And that is where the episode ends, ladies and gentlemen, with, of course, the actual P with actually a little teaser saying like, hey, another core! And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this episode and the end of this season of Attack on Titan. This core, I guess, part, whatever you want to call it. Fucking phenomenal episode, as always, ladies and gentlemen. This show just keeps getting better and better, man, with each passing season. It is going to be very interesting when we get to that third and most likely final core, because I'm pretty sure even in the subtitles it said this is the conclusion arc. That how this is going to be. Because we all heard, even if you're like me, if you're an anime, you've done your damnedest to make sure you have not gotten manga spoilers. You know the ending is infamous. You know a lot of people hated the ending. Especially the second ending, apparently. whatever that was about. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be into how this ending is going to happen. How will Mappa be changing it? Will they be working with Ishiyama and changing the ending and adding on to it? Whatever the case may be, that final episode of the entire series is going to be an interesting episode, and this last season is going to be a very interesting season whenever it airs next year. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this review off there, ladies and gentlemen. Overall, my final verdict for this episode, along with this season, as always, is a 10 out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. Good to know that I'm finally done reviewing anime for the rest of the semester. Good to know that I'm finally done. And I can, worry less, and I can just worry about school now and don't have to juggle it with any videos. But, yeah. See you guys again in the fall when I'll probably be miserable having to juggle 3 series. But anyway, guys, that is where I'm going to this video off. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like it. Links to the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.